Yeah, now we should be good. Look, I ain't even get started. They already trying to stop me. I ain't even say nothing yet. Damn. Let me live. Let me breathe. I just got here. Ain't mad at me. Like, you gonna be mad at me? It was crazy. I actually tested my mic before I went live. Like while I counted. And they were like, nah, bro, you already on one. They said they saw it's like YouTube and X saw the smile on my face, and they were like, nah, you about to say some shit. Man, look, first of all, let me just say thank you all for tuning into the live stream segment of 4 People Podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and start off by saying that. Hey, appreciate you guys being here. Been a lot of shit that's happened last week, huh? Whew, what a week. Let me just go ahead and say, before we do some quick shout outs, this live stream, this specific live stream is not for the weak-hearted. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna keep it a band with you at right now. If your feelings are easily hurt, and hey man, look, I'm giving you a warning right now. You can go ahead and leave, and I'm not gonna be offended. I'm not gonna be offended. If you are one of those people who are reactionary and emotional and don't want to hear facts as they are, rather than as you want them to be, hey man, look, I'm not gonna be mad at you. This ain't the stream for you. Okay? This is not the stream for sensitive people. I know I got a lot of MAGA people out there. You know, maybe y'all appreciate my content. You appreciate my anti-war stance. You appreciate my anti-imperialism. There's going to be a lot of discussion on that today. Got Dr. Morandi join the show a little bit later. There's going to be a lot of that. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we not going to deviate from standing on business. That's 5. That's 10. All my toes down. 10 toes down. We are still going to stand on business. We are still going to tell the truth as it is. And it is what it is. Because I know somebody out there already, man, you can't say that. You can't. But what about, but both sides, and we can't. And nah, bro, we going to tell the truth as it is rather than as we want it to be. And y'all know me. If it's a liberal or a conservative, black, white, anything in between, the truth does not change because you are breathing or you are no longer breathing. Your perception of the truth might change, but the truth itself does not change. I didn't go on yesterday because I wanted to be measured, guys. I wanted to be measured. I wanted to make sure that I gathered all the information. I wanted to make sure that I didn't react emotionally. Right? I even, I put out some tweets. I let it know how I want to even know how I felt. But as far as my commentary, because people, are you gonna talk about what you mean? Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. But y'all know me. I don't like to just come out and blurt some shit out. I like to go through my, if you're a sports fan, if you're an athlete, you go through your impressions. Play football, quarterback goes through the impressions. If you're a point guard, you go through your impression. Like, I go through my mental impressions. Okay? That's why I didn't go live yesterday like I wanted to. Okay? But now we here. So today's show, a little bit later on, we have Dr. Morandi coming on. We're going to be talking about the whole situation between Hamas, Yemen, and the specific impact that it will have on the beef between Israel and Iran. Because we know Iran ain't just about to let that slide. We know. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the French government completely and totally collapsing. And the real reason why it's happening. Because as you can imagine, the reason that's being put on social media is bullshit as usual. But of course, to start the show, we are going to be discussing the late Charlie Kirk and all the moving pieces and all the elements involved in that situation. We're going to be talking about some people's reactions to the situation. We're going to be talking about the suspect nature, the way that it went down. Because I think that regardless of my opinion on Charlie Kirk, which you will be hearing a lot of today, I think that a lot of people would agree it's kind of weird how that went down. It's weird. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that. Thank you very much, Sparky, for the super chat. Open it up with some Messiah talk. Woo! It's 2:41. We already talking about Messiah? Damn. Mossad assassinated Charlie Kirk specifically to distract President Trump from Israel's Qatar debacle. They figured Kirk's stance against Palestinians was beginning to slightly waver anyway. I don't find that's crazy. I don't find that crazy at all. And also we'll discuss that because maybe I would have found it crazy if Mossad didn't like just literally wake up today and was like, everybody thinks it's us, it's not us. Which we'll talk about in a little bit. That was weird, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna talk about that. But first of all, I will say, do I believe that this is some sort of distraction? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to be clear, the distractions of the Trump administration are becoming more grandiose by the day. I don't know if y'all have noticed this. Whether it be the situation in DC, right? The militarization of DC for no reason. I don't say that there's not crime there. That's not true. There's crime in every single major city in the world. Like maybe not high crime in China, but there's crime in every single major city in the world. This is a fact. But it is not even it doesn't crack top 30. I already told y'all that. The Chicago situation. I don't know if y'all seen, but he's militarized Chicago. Ramping it up there. Distraction. I'm not even getting into the Epstein lady thing, the birthday thing. I'm not even talking about that in this episode. That's a whole different. That's a tomorrow thing. I don't even know if that's just a lot to unpack. And I don't know if I want this stream to be cut off and demonetized from this YouTube channel. But like, there's that, right? At the end of the day, the Epstein list is not out. Israel is running roughshod all over Gaza. They just tried to assassinate a bunch of Hamas leaders. They just assassinated the prime minister and a lot of the cabinet of Yemen. I mean, in my opinion, it basically looks like Donald Trump isn't in control of his government. Israel is running his government, and other powers that be. And hell, I would even make an argument that there's been distractions from the fact that Trump's health, both physical and mental, seems to be deteriorating in front of our very eyes. The very thing that everybody told us we need to pay attention to regarding Joe Biden. So do I believe that it is a good possibility that Charlie Kirk and his death is a distraction? Well, I'm going to be frank with you. Charlie Kirk's entire career has been distraction. So why would his death be different? That has been Charlie Kirk's role since he came into the public sphere. To sow division and be a distraction. To embolden the duopoly. Right? And he's got the more rich and powerful, or at least rich and influential he became from the vitriol that he spewed, the more divisive he became. The more of a distraction he became. The establishment is trying to see if they can somehow pin Charlie Kirk's assassination on Iran. Really? Nah, man. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I saw a headline that basically said it was a trans bullet. It was a bullet ingrained with trans propaganda and comment. Basically, every like neocon, anti-leftist buzzword you can think of, that's basically what they said the bullet was. So I don't know. First of all, we know they could try to put it on Iran, but once again, Iran doesn't really kill Americans. Thank God, they don't. Still surprised they don't, but it would be weird to try to pin this on Iran. I feel like they're trying to sow division with it because right now, and even on this show, for example, we're going to have to rehash and rediscuss a lot of the things Charlie Kirk has talked about, a lot of issues Charlie Kirk broached during his very long. I mean, y'all got to remember, Charlie Kirk really started when he was like 18 or 19 years old. He was a young guy. Charlie Kirk's career, we're gonna keep it a band. This man was nothing and nobody and mediocre. He got upset because the Ivy League schools that he was applying to did not accept him. None of them did. He blamed black people and minorities for taking his spot. That's how he got famous. I'm just being, that is how people don't like from his inception, ladies and gentlemen, that is who Charlie Kirk was, a spoiled, entitled brat, upset because other people got into an Ivy League school that he didn't. And then, and only then, ladies and gentlemen, did he make a career out of doing what? Because it seems it was almost a decade ago. And it seems so far in the rearview mirror that people forget Charlie Kirk's fame came from touring many of the very campuses that he was trying to get into and didn't do so. People forget. That's how he got famous. Blaming black people for the reason he didn't get into college, or at least get into the Ivy Leagues that he wanted. And I'm thinking to myself, you ever just consider that you weren't that smart? Your resume wasn't that interesting? Because I don't know anything about his resume, enough to for example, I graduated from UNC. For those of you who don't know, UNC is a public Ivy League school. UNC is hard as shit to get into. I know someone who got straight A's. I'm talking about straight A's, 1,800, something close to 1,800 on the SAT. Well above what you need. I mean, dude was a beast. I'm sure he did. I'm an amazing, eloquent writer. But you know what the problem was? Didn't have enough extracurriculars. Didn't do enough AP classes. Yeah, you're getting A's, but you're not getting the right kind of A's. Like, when you're competing against people who are all number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in their class, everybody applying to UNC, Harvard, Duke, Vanderbilt, Penn, they're all of them. And y'all got to understand, the one thing that black people have that is an advantage to some degree. Like a lot of us who apply to Ivy Leagues or public Ivy League schools, at least back in the day, I can't speak for now, back in the day. One thing that we have that people like Charlie Kirk didn't have was this well-rounded experience that was forced upon us. I was working at McDonald's from 14 to 16 or 17. I didn't work there because I wanted to. I worked there because the lights would not stay on if I did not work there. While I simultaneously did debate, and happy to be one of the best debaters in the country. Cool. But I had to work the entirety of high school. I also did extracurricular activities. I did debate. I played, I played soccer, and I was an all-state triple jumper. While working, while getting straight A's and the rare B. I didn't have an option. So I was this well-rounded student, and when it came to my admission essays, that stood out. But it wasn't because I like woke up and was like, yeah, man, this is the life I would chose. I get my circumstances forced me into that situation, and it benefited me in the end, even though I had no idea that it would. It almost screwed me over too for different reasons. But yeah, but my friend, who is arguably more intelligent than I am in a lot of ways, who ended up getting, he almost got his PhD, got his master's in atmospheric science of all places, of all fields. Like, dude is a genius, and he didn't get into UNC, not because he didn't get the grades, but because of literally everything else. Charlie Kirk basically was saying, like, yeah, nobody's experiences matter. It's only grades. And he believed that he had gotten better grades than all the black people or minorities that got in. That was how he started his career. So now we know what road he's going down, because now Prager done found his ass, is paying him to start TPUSA. And then I gotta pretend, because of what happened yesterday, that Charlie Kirk isn't who Charlie Kirk is. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. No, not, but I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm not going to celebrate someone losing their life in that fashion, right? Because I'm not a judge, jury, and I'm not the judge, jury, and execution of anybody who isn't personally harming my life or my family or my friends. Now, if you interrupt in any of those situations, then lamento, because I'm gonna get busy. But outside of that, cool. But that does not mean I feel sympathy or empathy for him. I'm not going to pretend that Charlie Kirk's presence on this earth was a net positive for humanity. Like I said, in the end, and this is not just for Charlie Kirk, it's for everybody, I wish for you what you wish for the Palestinian people. Did you wish genocide upon them? Did you speak ill of them? Did you dismiss their plight? Did you defend the terrorist acts against them? Because that's what, if not, then we good. But otherwise, because I feel like that's a pretty low bar. Did you defend genocide or no? Did you defend genocide or not? Because that's what I wish for you. I'm a very karmic individual. I can't, there's nothing, I know there's a lot of, and by the way, I'm not even upset at people who right now are online in the last couple of days. There are some people that consider themselves to be anti-establishment, anti-imperialist leftists are like, oh, no, we can't even utter anything negative about Charlie Kirk because and I'm explaining to you why. The majority of those people weren't on the receiving end of Charlie Kirk's constant need to dehumanize every single person that does not look like him, that was not born in the same country or in the same culture as him. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of people who are like, well, no, we gotta, nah, maybe you feel that way. Maybe you feel that way. Okay, cool. I'm not mad at you. Cool. I'm not really about the whole civil. Let's be civil. I don't play that shit. I'm civil, but I'm just saying humanity matters more to me than being civil. The truth matters more to me. I'm not going to pretend Charlie Kirk was somebody that he was not. And I'm not going to pretend like he wasn't who he was. Just because, unfortunately for him, or at least unfortunately for his family, he's no longer here. And I'm just going to explain, I'm just going to let me just show y'all a 1 minute clip of some of the stuff that he said.
Putting his true beliefs about anyone who isn't a white, rabid conservative like him on full display.
You're gonna remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian. See a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman. I wonder, is she there because of her excellence? Or is she there because of affirmative action? Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. Period. End of story. This guy is not worthy of an.
Did y'all hear that? Clarence Thomas, who sexually assaulted someone and then got bailed out by Joe Biden, effectively. Yeah, Clarence Thomas, who sexually assaulted Anita Hill. That's a better, which is weird. Why are we even comparing people to Martin Luther King? The people comparable to Martin Luther King are dead, basically, because they were killed for fighting for the same cause as him. And you're like, Clarence Thomas, bro, you could have brought up Thurgood fucking Marshall, and that would have been a better, at least I gotta be like, oh, I guess it's debate. But this is the man that y'all like, well, we can't say that. We can't be like, we got to show empathy. We got to show sympathy. No, I do not, sir. Do y'all have a minute and 15-second video of him straight dehumanizing your very existence?
National holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful. You do not.
He just said the fact that Martin Luther King has a national holiday is harmful, people. Think about that.
Have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52. I'm going to trust the Lord. I know what we're saying is true. I was disappointed because I said, listen, guys, you could hate what I'm doing. You could criticize it. I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. Okay? I live what I believe. No. What do I do?
I was actually there for that. Do y'all see my point? For example, the pilot. Do you know? First of all, why? Oh, it's going to be a black pilot. Why did it got to be a black pilot? Like, why did it? That's the first thing he went to. Y'all do know that as far as affirmative action is concerned, it is actually white women who benefit from affirmative action more than literally anybody. And as far as colleges and universities are concerned, Butch Ware and I discussed this during our interview. Black women outperform fucking everybody in college. It is likely that the black woman who is in charge of whatever job that she is doing is the most qualified person in the room by far. Because as hard as black men have to work to get into their positions, black women have to work twice as hard as black men. This is a fact. And they will oftentimes be the first ones fired despite being more qualified than the person who they're being replaced by. But as far as the pilot situation is concerned, bro, pilots have the exact same fucking requirements. Pilots have the exact same. It is the requirement to be a pilot across the board is exactly the same. During that conversation, it never moved. Nothing changed. The problem, as has been in a lot of hiring situations, is that you can have this black person, this black woman could be as qualified as this white man to be a pilot. And during the hiring process, there is a preference shown towards the white male pilot. That was the problem. When you're talking about something as cut and dry as being a pilot, ladies and gentlemen, because once again, same requirements as everybody. The only difference that I could see, the only minor, like if somebody had more experience for like longer flights, international flights, a language advantage, like, okay, now we're getting into that's nuance and we can have that discussion. But if like there's two new pilots applying, the problem was that the black women were not getting hired. And then what ultimately ends up happening, and this is the argument that people don't like to discuss, people become discouraged from wanting to participate in that field. And so they're like, well, there's nobody applying for it. Yeah, bitch, because we realize that you're not going to give us a damn job. So I got to go work in a field where either I can start my own company or I got to work in a field where I know I can get hired. But y'all are asking what people don't understand. They're asking people to have sympathy for a man who believes that they are subhuman. Y'all basically asking people to, from my perspective, y'all ask people to have sympathy for a KKK Grand Dragon who just won't put on the hood because he got famous and became wealthy from taking the hood off and letting you see his face. And that's what y'all are asking. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine. But it is not for you to go and attack people that don't give a shit whether or not he's alive. Because it is what it is. It may be uncomfortable for you because we're all, well, you shouldn't talk about people like, you shouldn't. Well, no, he had no problem talking. Like, nothing changed. His opinion up into that very moment, was that. This is the man who said that Clarence Thomas should be celebrated, not Martin Luther King. In fact, celebrating Martin Luther King is quote unquote harmful. Come on, bro. Sparky, good point. Charlie was focused on distractions the CIA put out, like the trans thing. Exactly. That's all he did was distract. Whenever the narrative didn't align with especially with the MAGA world, right? What is like with the Epstein client list? Everybody seems to keep forgetting that. He was all about it, and then he won't. He was all about it, and then he wasn't. He would talk about it all the time, and then he didn't. Why? He would then use some random ass social justice warrior issue to do what? To distract. Sour grapes can be a good thing. Charlie Kirk should have said to himself, the Ivy League schools aren't so great anyways. Me, I'd hire a UNC person any day. Ivy Leagues have been used. Yeah, bro, exactly. That's what literally, so that's what I used to actually think. Whenever I would hear about this story of Charlie, I'm like, why do you want to go to Ivy League anyway? Like, because I know people who've gone to Yale and gone to Harvard. I know somebody who didn't go to, who went to Yale. Oh no, it was at Harvard. They went to Harvard, excuse me. Well, they went to both. Went to Yale for law school and Harvard for undergrad. But they said that they went to Harvard and didn't go to class for an entire semester and still got an A. Because Harvard practices what's called grade inflation. Why? Because they need people to get into that next Ivy League school, or they need to justify a lot of people to get into getting into Harvard for grad school, whatever professional school that they pursue next. Because that also increases the amount of money they can command after they graduate. That then gets reflected in Harvard statistics, brings in more endowment money, and they look better. So why would they then grade students on the same scale as, for example, UNC, that actually has a burden to prove to the state that they are worth the money that North Carolina gives to them? So what we had, while I was at UNC, was grade deflation. In other words, your A and my A was not the same A. That shit was on a sliding scale, ladies and gentlemen. I remember in my Korean class, for me to get an A, so so my major was comparative politics, Brazilian Portuguese, and I minored in Korean. It's not that impressive. Everybody at UNC fucking double majors or that's how UNC was. It's not normal for everybody else, but at UNC it is. I remember I was so confused my first semester because to get an A, like just a regular ass A, not an A+, a regular ass A. In my Portuguese class, or in my Korean class, you had to get a 96. But for those of you who know, getting an A is generally just a 90, you just get a 93. And an A- would be a 90. But to get a regular ass A, you had to get a 96. But in my Portuguese class, to get an A was a 93 still. And then like my comparative politics class, some of our papers, a 93 was sufficient to get an A, but because you have different assistants grading the papers, if too many people got a 93 or 94, all of a sudden that bitch jumped up to a 95 to get an A. The only two colleges in the country that practiced this were Yale and UNC. Like that, why don't I tell you that used to piss me off. But that's what we dealt with. So like going on after I experienced that, and I'm like hearing people skipping class at Harvard and still getting A's, I'm like, man, Damn, I even know that shit used to piss me. UNC pissed me off, bro. I loved UNC. UNC, it was also a lot different when I was at Tar Heel. But man, when I tell you, it used to piss me off when I found out that like you can walk up into Princeton or Harvard and not go to class, and people are leaving, getting the highest paying jobs in the country. I'm like, that's how these Harvard and I'm over here with living in the assumption that these people are being pushed and tested just as much, if not harder than we are. And we're all applying to these same top tier universities for law school, dental school, medical school, grad school, whatever. I'm over here thinking like we're all operating under the same scale. Like, hell no. My journey to grad school or law school or whatever, or for law school, that's what I was going for. Like that shit was way harder than everybody else. If you went to UNC and Yale to their credit, and that was Yale's way, by the way, of making sure that you went back to Yale for grad school or for your professional school. But if you went to UNC, your trip to that next school, to your next degree was harder than everybody else's. And you don't find that out until you get to UNC. But he could have, like, if he would have actually done his research and learned, like, yo, you don't need to go to an Ivy League. And they build connections, whatever. But like, it was like, nah, man, I wanted to go to these schools, but fuck them because they're giving preference to black people and minorities, the people that I hate. And then that became who his personality is, or who his personality, what his personality was for the rest of his career. How, like, that is, I can't rock with that, because in no way, form, or fashion, I guarantee you, whatever I did, I got an 1800, no, I got 1700 SAT, like a 1750 or something like that. So like maybe he got a little bit, maybe higher. I mean, that's high as hell, but at least it was back in the day. So it maybe that he did better than me. And everything else, no, God, no. You weren't as well-rounded as I was. You didn't get grades like I got. And you damn sure weren't working the entire time. You weren't an all-state athlete. You weren't a scholastic athlete. I was. Were you an honor roll athlete? I was. Did you go to a school that was so damn hard that and they held their students to such a high academic standard that the damn athletes average a 3.5? Like that was the average for athletes at my high school. Probably not. But but this is the problem. Everybody has confirmation bias. Everybody thinks that they're the smartest until they get around other people and they find out like, oh shit, that y'all were in a different, y'all standards were different than everybody else's. In my high schools, our high school it wasn't a private school, it was a public school, but it might as well have been a private school, though as difficult as it was. Because we were always trying to compete for state money. Christian, what's going on, my man? Yo, Niko, for us black folk, the Pharaoh has always been both sides of the Red Sea. As black folk, we've always moved forward. Fuck Charlie Kirk. I mean, dog, look. I'm supposed to, let me show y'all this. Because I feel like, once again, people want me to pretend like this man is somebody. Or wasn't who he was, rather. I'm not gonna say they want me to pretend he's somebody he's not, but they damn sure want me to pretend he isn't who he. They want me to pretend he isn't who he was or wasn't who he is. Look.
It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not called. I don't think the place exists.
What?
Because it doesn't. It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not called Palestine.
You don't believe that Palestine have the right to exist?
No, everyone has a right to exist. Show me where it is. It's a non-existent place.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
That's why we're on different planets, right? What is the next?
Now we all know that literally Zionists refer to Palestine as Palestine before Israel, the fake state, the occupier, the colonizer, came to fruition. And Israel's legitimacy only comes from the fact that the West has chosen to legitimize it. Palestine was legitimized by Zionists. Not by me. Read the Balfour Declaration, ladies and gentlemen. The Zionists who started the Zionist movement called Palestine, Palestine. In the Torah, bro, it is literally called Palestinian. Like, it's Palestine. But y'all want people to pretend like this man did not literally just try to erase an entire group of people, an entire nation of people. Think about that. Y'all want, how am I supposed to, like,
National identity of Palestine. Educate me.
Palestinians.
like,
We're on different planets, right? What is the national identity of Palestine? Educate me.
literally Palestine? Like, what is the national identity of Palestine? Palestine? Like, what is the national identity of Israel? That's a better question, considering how new it is and made up, because literally it was never a country. Where did the Zionists argue to live in the Balfour Declaration? During World War, but really before World War II popped off. They were arguing to settle in Palestine, not Israel.
Palestinians.
What is that?
Like, what do you mean? What is that?
Yeah, what ethnicity are they?
Arabs?
Arabic.
Okay, so all Arabs are Palestinians?
No, but they are
Like,
Arabs.
what?
What you trying to say? What is your point?
I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, are you being purposely idiotic? Yes, he is.
Because at what point does somebody become a Palestinian?
When he was born in Palestine, or if his parents are Palestinians?
Again, this is why we're talking past each other.
What you trying to say?
I don't think the place exists.
What?
Because it doesn't. It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not
So
called Palestine.
You don't believe that?
Now it's called Judea and Samaria. Now it isn't called now it's called Judea and Samaria. What? So God forbid, that would technically, I guess, mean that they were Jewish, that all Palestinians are Jewish. Is that what you're trying to claim? Because if you said that, Israelis would lose their shit, right? They would never accept that. But
Palestine have the right to exist?
No, everyone has a right to exist. Show me where it is. It's a non-existent place.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
That's why we're on different planets, right?
no, we're not on. Yeah, we're on different planets, but one is like, it's because you're choosing to be ignorant. Yeah. Okay, so this isn't me celebrating anything. This is me explaining to you all. Like, Charlie Kirk is intelligent enough to know, because when he's referring to Palestinians, whenever he wants to justify the eradication of Palestine by Israel, he's mentioned Palestinians before. Oh, what are the Palestinian? They're Palestinian. What is their ethnicity? I think he meant to say nationality, but like, they're Arabs. Okay, what does that mean? They're Palestinian. Y'all do know, like, just to be clear, the majority of the population of Jordan is Palestinian. They're Palestinians who fled. They fled because of the tyranny of Israel. They fled when it was allowed for them to flee. But y'all, so y'all want people to feel bad about a man who literally just tried to erase an entire culture by and is playing stupid. He isn't that stupid. He is not an idiot. Oh, Judea and Samaria. Boy, you don't even call it Judea and Samaria. You still call it Israel. What are you talking about? You, like, if you would have been like, nah, that's still Israel, I would have maybe had some respect. Oh, it's Judea and Samaria. No, it's Palestine. Literally, the founders of the Zionist movement called it Palestine. You feel me? So now we done checked off the blocks. You done tried to excuse genocide by erasing an entire ethnicity. Like, that's just one example, right? You try to erase an entire nation of people. Why? Because if someone had said that Israel doesn't have the right to exist, if that young man would have said that Israel does not have the right to exist, what would Charlie Kirk have said? Anti-Semitism. Well, he had not. Sparky, thank you very much for super chat. Ironically, DNA testing from the medieval Ashkenazi Jewish cemetery shows if they have any Middle East ancestry at all, it's Iranian and Persian. That is funny and also true. The Israeli that I dated, yeah, I know. That was crazy. The Israeli that I dated was Persian. She was Persian. And she experienced a lot of racism her entire life growing up because of her ethnicity. Even though she's Israeli, she was. So her dad was from Libya, or her dad's ethnicity and nationality, rather, was from Libya. And her grandma actually still spoke Arabic. She never learned Hebrew. And then her mom's side was Persian. And she actually was treated like shit growing up because you could tell. Like, it was all over. Beautiful, but like, yeah, that doesn't matter if you're Israeli. They don't want you looking anything other than European. You know what's weird about Israel too, by the way, before I show you the next clip? I never realized until literally today, because I remember seeing it and I remember I thinking it was like, that's kind of weird. Why? There's something off about Israel participating in Eurovision. It's something ironic about that. At the time, it was like I just was scrolling and I had passively thought about it. And then it hit me today. Why the fuck is Israel participating in Eurovision when they're not in Europe? That's like not helping their cause. Right? Like, everybody's already telling y'all not real Arabs, y'all not real Palestinians, y'all are little Europeans who change your names and then got a tan, and some of y'all be still getting sunburnt because the sun knows what ethnicity you are, regardless of how much you try to hide it. And y'all are out here participating in Eurovision and winning. How the hell is Israel allowed to participate in Eurovision? Oh, because y'all Europeans. And I guarantee you, it ain't going to be the Ethiopian Jewish people, the Sudanese Jewish people that are participating on behalf of Israel for Eurovision. I can guarantee that. It's going to be the one that look European because they're European. I mean, it's fitting that Israel participates in Eurovision. I just find it hilarious. Dr. Mandani should be on within the next 10 to 15 minutes. I just find it hilarious. I'm like, bro, I never thought about that until today. I was like, that's what it is. What the hell? Why? I'm like, that. But that also lets you know how much, even just subconsciously, the world considers Israel to be a European country full of Europeans for European interests, or Western interests at the bare minimum, because no one even talks about that much. I remember whenever Israel, either they won or they were about to win or something like that, they finished top 2 or top 3, and I remember people complaining about that, but not the fact that Israel was even like, why are you even competing at all? You're not European. Oh, yes, you are. No one said anything. It's just funny to me. But we innately associate Israelis with Europeans. And y'all not beating allegations specifically because of that. Bruh. Then there's like, look at this, y'all. Come, hold up. So like, I was told, because I have kids, everybody likes to bring your kids whenever they ain't got no argument to make. I'm like, bro, what? They said, you got kids, man, you should practice more empathy. So I'm like, man, what's Charlie Kirk have to say about empathy? Let's hear what Charlie has to say about empathy, y'all.
All about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time. Here's cut 60.
Yeah, man, he doesn't even believe in empathy.
All about empathy and sympathy.
My man doesn't even believe in empathy. Why should I trample on Charlie Kirk's legacy by lending him a sentiment that he does not even believe in. Why? I'm just saying, he don't believe in empathy, so why should I lend it to him? Not to mention, I don't have like I can't empathize with anything. I can't empathize with that. Like the only thing that I might be able to empathize with is one day I could die. But if I get killed, I want people to understand like there's a difference. Somebody's like, well, that could be you one day. No, that will never be me. Even if someone killed me, that could never be me. Because if I got killed, it's because Niko told the truth as it is. I told my truth, or rather the truth as it is, rather than the truth that someone paid me to say. If I get killed, it's because I stood up for genocide, knowing what it could do to my prospects, my career, and potentially my life. If I got killed, it's because I stood on business. It's because my integrity was unshakable and immovable, impermeable, impenetrable. That's why they killed me. We can't deal with this man no more. We got to take him out. When I get killed, there won't be waves of people who rightfully discuss Charlie Kirk's vitriolic behavior, right? There won't be waves of people who start launching racial insults at those who are speaking truthfully, literally just posting what Charlie Kirk said. Like, why are you so upset? We just posting what he said. And word and picking y'all can't wait for you to get lynched. Like, yeah, that won't happen. If I get killed, the people who support me would not engage in that vitriol. Because what you gonna post about me? Damn, man, Niko was telling the truth about Tulsa before people would talk about it. Niko was telling the truth about the system before anybody else would. Damn, Niko was trying to prevent the war with Russia and Ukraine when everybody else trying to push for it. Damn, like, what you gonna say? Those are the clips I'm gonna push? Damn, Niko was advocating for free speech regardless. Like, he was willing to talk to anybody. That my supporters, if I were to ever be assassinated, my supporters wouldn't be insulting people in that way, at least. They wouldn't be like, you anti-imperialist scum. Like, you asshole who cares about other people. How dare you care about genocide? You sick individual. Think about it. Like, I can't empathize with that. Because we could go out the same way, but it damn sure ain't gonna be for the same reason. And that's on my kids. That's what people are not understanding. They're like, oh man, he was a firm believer in God and Jesus. No, he was not, bro. I'm not. So y'all know I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in Jesus. I actually do believe in Jesus. I especially believe in the teachings of Jesus. And I get insulted when people like Charlie Kirk literally spends hours and hours and hours and hours and hours dehumanizing individuals. And then turns around and throws Jesus' name out there, talk about Jesus King. Boy, shut your ass. Jesus, if he was here right now, he would smack the fuck out of you. Yeah, because Jesus was about that. People forget, boy, Jesus was out here flipping tables, smiting kings. Everybody forgets that part about Jesus. Like, Jesus he hated imperialists. He hated hyper-capitalists. He condemned kings. He condemned those who advocated for war, or condemned people who wish that these kings would spend their money on war. He walked with the prostitutes. He walked with the poor. He didn't say that those poor people should be thrown in jail. And every now and then, he turned water into wine because, hey, still got to have a good time. It's stressful out here. But I can't stand that shit. Boy, and on everybody keep forgetting too, like Jesus was a Palestinian. At the end of the day, ironically, that country that doesn't exist in Charlie Kirk's mind. I hate when shit people hide behind Christianity, the religion. You do not walk in Jesus' light. You working for the other guy. Once you start defending and kowtowing on Epstein files and client list stuff like that, just to defend Donald Trump, who Lord knows ain't no saint, before he was president, he wasn't a saint. Like, you don't get to hide behind Christianity. Because there are people who don't believe in Christianity, who walk in the light of Jesus more than these people who stay using his name to detract and distract from the vitriolic nature that they dehumanize people every time they get in front of a camera. They're like, yeah, man, black people are stupid, black people are dumb, black people aren't qualified for this, black people, Mexicans are dirty, Mexicans are rapists, Oh, Jesus King, amen. Amen. Jesus King, y'all, amen. What? Hold up. You don't get to talk about Jesus now. No. I know Jesus somewhere like, leave me out of this, bro. I don't know you like that. We not friends. We are not on the same page, guy. That's fact. Like, when Charlie Kirk was asked about the bombing of Palestinian children, because it was during one of these events, when Charlie Kirk was asked about the bombing of Palestinian children, ladies and gentlemen, you know what Charlie said? Well, at first he tried to like pretend like it wasn't happening. And then somebody like, no, bro, it's happening. And he's like, oh, you think that Israel is purposely targeting children? Well, yeah, is the Israeli government or members of the Israeli government have said multiple times, those children are being indoctrinated. That's what they believe. And that they believe those young boys will be grown men that become quote unquote terrorists one day. And that is their justification. That they say there is no such thing as an innocent Israeli. When you bomb refugee camps, who do you think that you're hitting? Okay. So then when that part gets acknowledged, he's like, oh, well, if there are children dying, it's because they're using them as human shield, and then goes on to spew a bunch of debunked propaganda that we've already, I'm not going to rehash it here, but we already know the hospital, the tunnels and all that. Yeah, no. And the dude's like, no, that's not real. Like, they're not, he's like, you really believe that? Well, where the video? Because he's like, well, it's well documented. No, it's not. So it's like you acknowledge. So it went from that it doesn't happen to, well, they're not doing it on purpose. Well, no, it's because Hamas uses them as human shields. And what was even crazier about that particular exchange is that he mentioned that Hamas uses military installations and builds them on top of civilian areas. Nah, they don't do that, but who does? Israel. That's what we found out during this 12-day war between them and Iran. That's what we did find out, didn't we? Remember, they was like, yo, take these videos down, because they were showing Iranian missiles drop in civilian areas, and people were confused because they also saw that the Iron Dome was launching from those civilian areas, trying to defend those areas and knock down those missiles. Like, hold up, whoa, wait a minute. Y'all building military installations in literal residential neighborhoods? Isn't that what y'all said Hamas is doing? And so when people started dying, everybody's like, oh, so it's Israel that uses, of course, because every accusation is a confession. So he said, if Hamas, first of all, he said it wasn't happening. Then he said, well, if it is happening, it's because Hamas is using kids as human shields. Like, no, that's not happening. That's already been debunked. But on top of all that, we have evidence on top of evidence that Israel is willing to use residential neighborhoods, entire neighborhoods, as human shields. But then we've also seen them use literal human shields. The IDF, we've seen them literally use human shields. I'm talking about strapped to a fucking car type of human shields. And on top of all of that, we know that the IDF and the Israeli government has policies that allow them to kill their own if they want to. I mean, shit, one could make an argument that this whole hostage situation is just a grander version of the human shield tactic. They're waging this genocidal war using the hostages as an excuse, no matter how many Israelis get killed in the process. And they know that Hamas isn't just going to like execute them all, because that's not how they operate. And also Hamas needs the leverage, obviously. They need the leverage to get the Palestinians back, which is the whole point of October 7th to begin with. So in a sense, Israel is using these hostages as human shields as we speak. But we can't sit here and then pretend like this man didn't just erase a group full of people, erase a nation full of people, an entire ethnicity, play stupid. Then pretend like kids weren't being killed and being targeted, and then say they were, but then try to blame Hamas like Hamas ain't letting those. Hamas is attacking refugee camps. That's weird. Hamas is attacking mosques. Hamas is attacking hospitals. Even BBC, when they did their investigation, they were surprised at what they didn't find after, and they were surprised at the fact that Israel wouldn't even let them investigate. That's ultimately what drove BBC over the edge when they released that investigation of the hospital that didn't have shit. And they were like, yeah, man, Israel out here editing videos, pretending like there's stuff there that there isn't, things like that. This is clearly not a military installation. There was clearly no military here. Everybody forgets that, but yeah, I remember I covered it for Hotspot. So and then there's once again the dehumanization. Like, bro, how did Charlie Kirk respond to the George Floyd situation? Basically asserting that he deserved to die, right? Like, because of crimes because of a record, right? Like people don't have. I have misdemeanors. Okay, he died. Like, I have misdemeanors. Does that mean I deserve to die? Because of misdemeanors that I got when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. He didn't show any concern for the family of George Floyd. He didn't show any concern for the family of George Floyd. He didn't show any concern for the friends of George Floyd. He didn't show any concern to the narrative that he was pushing, how ridiculous it sounded. Yeah, man, he overdosed and that was it. The knee in his neck had nothing to do with it. I mean, we'll never know, because that doesn't make it, like, he was perfectly fine and then he was dead. And it just so happened that Chauvin's knee was in his neck when he died, but that knee had nothing to do with it. And he literally died from not auto asphyxiation, but asphyxiation. He couldn't breathe, and the knee was on the neck, and he was screaming, "I can't breathe!" But it was definitely fentanyl overdose. He was. I don't know. Once again, I don't know who does that. Literally, at one point, I've worked with people going through rehab, like from heroin, like hard shit, y'all. Those people, they hated fentanyl because it was killing their friends. I lived in Florida, so y'all know South Florida, like the rehab capital of the world, specifically Boca Raton. Nobody is out here just ingesting fentanyl. Like that is like one of the most fucking ridiculous things that I have ever heard. Like, yeah, man, he was just out here ingesting fentanyl. That's what it was. That's what killed him. But that will also be like the fastest overdose in like history. Like, I was waiting to see, you don't see like no foaming at the mouth, nothing like that. But even if he did have priors, even if he did use drugs, right? Even if we bought that whole narrative, that meant he deserved to die. Or rather, that meant his name deserved to be dragged to the dirt. Or rather, did that mean also that he deserved to be a victim of police brutality when he was not a threat? Did he deserve to be put in a position where he could have died? Because that's what happened. That was wrong. Like, everything else can be true and you're still wrong. He was still a victim. But if he had died of fentanyl, if George Floyd had died of fentanyl, ladies and gentlemen, he was still a victim of police brutality up until that moment. Am I right or am I right? If he had died of fentanyl overdose, he was still a victim of police brutality up until that moment. Which he didn't die of fentanyl overdose. It's ridiculous to believe that that was the reason why. But even if that was true, he was still a victim of police brutality up until that moment. Did Charlie Kirk give a damn? No, because George Floyd is black. And we're all animals in Charlie Kirk's eyes. Unless you're Clarence Thomas, you know what I'm saying? Unless you out here rocket raccooning. Those are, he likes good blacks, the good colored folks. He likes model minorities. Not even all of them, honestly. Not even all of them. He don't even like all of them because he worried that they're going to take the high-paying jobs. At the end of the day, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, you can't be mad at people for not giving a damn. When the majority of those people who don't give a damn about what happened, he dehumanized. And that bullet does not change anything other than the fact that he's no longer alive. I feel sorry for his family, but you know what I feel sorry for more? That his kids and that his wife, you know, I mean, I don't know, because sometimes, like, if you've, you know, people that have been married and like the wife doesn't necessarily agree with the husband on some things and they just never talk about it because that's a thing, especially for older couples. But like they might have different opinions on some of these things and it just never gets discussed. It might have been the end of their marriage, but because that happens. That does happen eventually. Like you're like, bro, I can't deal with this anymore. That happens. So like, whatever. But the kids too, like they're gonna get on social media one day, and you know what they're gonna be. Oh man, Donald Trump, the guy who protected the Epstein list, was praising my dad. Oof. Bibi Netanyahu, the genocide guy, was praising my dad. Oof. I feel like you're watching clips of your dad that straight dehumanize people. That's what the legacy of Charlie Kirk is gonna be. I do feel bad for his kids, but maybe it ain't for the same reasons. Because they didn't choose him. You know what I'm saying? They didn't choose to be brought into this world. And his kids were at this event too. And like, I'm thinking to myself, like, why were your kids at because he doesn't think that he's doing anything wrong. He's just eating up the spotlight as he does. But Charlie Kirk, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, he propagandized millions of people. Like, for people to say like, oh no, his death is more or less inconsequential. No, it's consequential. It's consequential. He successfully propagandized millions of people. He single-handedly helped to make popular some of the most vitriolic figures in the neoconservative right. He offered black people, brown people, Asian, like he offered them million. Hey man, I'll give you a bag. Just shit on your own people. And it worked. I mean, that's effectively what TPU was. That's effectively what it was, or what it is. I'll give you a bag to shit on your own people. Like, we can't pretend, like, people want to pretend like he was inconsequential, and I'm like, nah, I can't say that. I don't like him, but I can't say that. But that consequence, was it a net positive for humanity, or was it a net negative? And I'll let you decide that. And I'll let the people who are on one side of the fence or the other, that's up for them to decide. I'm not celebrating his death because I'm the type of person that believes you got to talk somebody like that you got to talk them into submission. But also, I'm not going to pretend to sympathize or feel bad for a fascist. And Charlie Kirk is a fucking fascist who did not believe that Niko House or anybody who was his skin tone was a human. Who did not believe that I believe to stand on the same stage as him, work in the same job as him, be at the same college as him. He believed under a meritocracy, there was no way that he and I could be on the same level, not because of any tangible proof or tangible evidence of anything, but just because of my skin color. Now, with that being said, let me check the super chat real quick. Niko House was unbossed and unbought. He raised pots his children as if they were his. Niko's a bitch. I mean, yeah, it's true. Unbought to such a degree, but y'all people forget. While Charlie Kirk is out here getting upset because he didn't get in the Ivy League school and getting paid by Prager, wasn't it Daniel Prager, to start PragerU or TPUSA in PragerU. While he was getting millions of dollars to bitch and cry and be a victim, I was homeless because I refused to be bought off. I was literally back in the day in 2016, bro, I was recording. Y'all remember I was recording out of my car. The same car I was sleeping at every night. You can see my bags in the back seat. I was living off of my Patreon and doing Uber Eats in between. That Patreon paid my phone bill, which allowed me to record and do my live stream every Thursday and Friday. That was making, like, literally, it was $70. It was like $72 after they took their little fee. And that was just barely enough to pay my phone bill so I could continue to do my show. Boy, and I looked rough. While looking at my videos from back in the day, I looked tired. I was, bro. I just worked and worked and worked. And whenever TYT politics came and knock it, and I was like, yeah, y'all, I don't trust you. I'm sorry. I took the L. And because they not only did they want me to sell out, but they just wanted to box me in to specifically talking about Black issues. They wanted me to do investigative journalism solely about Black stuff. I'm like, but I know about all of this stuff. Why would I? Y'all do know I just started a lawsuit against the Democratic Party, right? Like, I'm not doing that. Y'all got me fucked up. So part of me believes that TYT wanted me to join TYT politics because they thought it would distract me from pursuing the DNC for all lawsuit. Because as y'all probably remember, they actually tried to call the lawsuit frivolous, which was bizarre as fuck. So they knew who I was. I'm gonna put it like that. They knew who I was leading up to that moment. And so there's a chance that they thought that if they could get me on the payroll, I would be distracted enough to drop the lawsuit. Didn't happen. As Stu, what's going on? Thank you for the super chat. One guy who previously criticized Charlie for supporting G-Side is walking it back, adding his past statements in solidarity. People use platforms when it benefits them for money. Are you for real? Oh my God. That's crazy. What? Walking back the criticism of how do you walk that back? Because the videos of Charlie supporting it are still out there. Sparky, the scourge of fentanyl was released on the United States by the FDA. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was only dispensed in clinical settings. Yes, funny enough, I first heard about fentanyl in South Florida, in Boca Raton, and it was from people who were in the rehab community, basically, and it caught them off guard. And you're finding out, like, a lot of people used to get their fix from doctors or from dealers who got their stuff from doctors. Y'all know how that go. So it was only dispensed in clinical settings. Then the FDA changed it to take a home drug to thin the herd since OxyContin wasn't enough. Yeah, basically. So my man Fred said, that's when I started watching you regularly. That was back in the day, man. That's before I could grow a beard. Y'all laughing. I'm serious. I could not grow a beard, man. I was trying from my heart. I was trying. Wasn't working. I think it was patchy. I'm good now, though. But I will say, though, I do find the death of Charlie a little bit suspect. I do find it suspect a little bit, because I do want to talk about the fact that this situation with Charlie Kirk and the way he was killed is mad suspect. So first of all, there are people that are defending him that are saying that it's because he would not, or he was looking like there was a small indication that he might flip. Now, this is Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk speaks with a forked tongue. Ironically, the Bible condemns that. He should probably read about that part. But they say he might flip on the chosen people. He did an interview with Megyn Kelly saying that he didn't like the fact that he was being pressured, right? I'm like, okay. So then but I'm like, yeah, but for the most part, we know what time it is. We know he's going to stand by Israel no matter what. But then, do y'all know who just out of nowhere decided, yeah, man, I'm about to go ahead and defend myself, even though no one is really taking this allegation seriously, but I'm gonna go ahead and do what I do because that's Israel. So the Messiah just woke up this morning and was like, yeah, man, so I'm gonna come out and defend myself against accusations over a political commentator. Seriously. The Charlie Kirk conspiracy challenge. There is now a massive campaign on X pushing the lie that Mossad killed Charlie Kirk. They claim Charlie was concerned Mossad would kill him. He was criticizing Israel on Megyn's show. He said Epstein was Mossad and got too close. Something like that. It wasn't that exactly, but something like that. He was turning on Israel before being killed. Damn, yo, they was documenting, huh? They for somebody that was unconcerned and didn't have anything to do with it, y'all sure was. Y'all quoting every single point that everybody's making and not doing a good job defending yourselves. The conclusion: Mossad killed Charlie. Here's the challenge. Click on any account spreading this, scroll through their page. I guarantee you will find the same thing every time. Obsession with conspiracy theories about Jews, Israel, and beyond. All these people cynically using Charlie's death to attack the Jews. Here we go with the false conflation of the Mossad and the entirety of the Jewish population. The purposeful false conflation. Call them out. Don't let this lie spread unchallenged. Google Meet is best. Okay. Okay, y'all give me 1 second. I got to try and set up a Google Meet meeting with Dr. Morandi and bring him into our video. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna try. Man, I need to get me a producer. I need to get me a producer, y'all. It's hard being a one-man show. But yeah, so like, why would y'all say that? Why would y'all come out and be like, hey man, Messiah didn't do it? That's suspect, right? It's already weird enough, by the way, that somebody was able to get into this event where either security failed miserably, and I say this because the FBI found the weapon allegedly in the forest. Okay, it's a sniper. Is that the actual? We will never know. We will never know, really. But I would be hard pressed to believe that, because now they're trying to, the media is trying to blame the left. They're talking about like the bullet with some monument to trans liberalism, communism, anti-fascism, whatever. Like literally, that's what I'm bullshit you not. That is a headline that they said about the bullet. Then they found the gun, but not the individual. That's the FBI for you, right? So y'all telling me somebody got a sniper rifle onto a building during this event and pop this man in the neck from 200? Listen, y'all, I'm not saying that's impossible to do, because it's not. It's not impossible to do by any means. But do you know that shit ain't easy? There are a lot of factors that come into play when you're shooting anything from 200 yards. With any gun, really, even a sniper. But you know who that wouldn't be an issue for? A professional. And y'all know I was in the military. I was at Bragg. I've shot. Well, I was with the M7, boy, what? But even at 200 yards when I could hit, because it's not easy doing it, like it was all body shots. I'm not hitting nobody in the head from 200 yards with an M7. Even with a scope, probably not. Like I might hit 1 out of 5. Even with the scope. Now with a sniper rifle, I could probably still hit the body consistently. Give me like 1 out of 3, maybe. But using a sniper is not easy. Like you're not just like picking up a fucking sniper. Like a random person from X that just got pissed off at Charlie Kirk one day is not picking up a sniper without being trained in shooting it with accuracy. That bitch got kicked. And you're trying to tell me that somebody hit that man from 200 yards in the neck? And to be honest, they were probably aiming for his head. But then the man got away, the gunman. Nobody managed to get him. Nobody managed to see him running. It's an open field campus event. Somebody is running with a sniper rifle in their hand, and nobody got him. Somebody is, y'all, do y'all understand how big a sniper rifle is? And they say they found a sniper rifle in the woods. Cobra, you are correct. It doesn't need to be a sniper rifle. But it like, if it is a sniper rifle, that's weird. Like, why would you have a sniper rifle? And if you do have a sniper rifle, that generally means you're a professional in some sort of capacity, right? Like, even if like you're just like they're professional shooters, right? People who compete in competitions. But like outside of that, like, what the fuck is you doing with a sniper, my guy? This man, you ain't going buck hunting. This man got a sniper. And before he dumped it, he had to get off the building. He ran across the building, ran across the building with a sniper, descended the stairs. How do you say? He climbed down the stairs. Not climbed down the stairs. He went down the stairs. He ran. He left the building. He ran with a sniper. Left it in the forest, supposedly. This is the FBI. So you got to take all that part of the story where they found it at, the exact model of the gun and all that good stuff. All that got to with a grain of salt. But you did all that, and no one saw you, and no one caught you. Bro, it's crazy how camera. It was on campus, so like there's usually cameras in some way, form, like somebody saw something. It's just weird how in these situations, like the cameras stop working, and like, and this is just super suspect, y'all. I like that part. I actually do agree with people, and so then you have to ask who it serves for him to pass. Who he wasn't serving anymore. Those are the real two questions, right? So yeah, the moral of that story is I just feel like that the death of Charlie Kirk is a little bit convenient. It's way they can't use. I know I thought about Zoom too. Can't use Zoom because he says he has to use a VPN and then it slows down the internet and it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to do another method next time. I'm gonna have to try to work out Google Meet beforehand. So you do have to ask, like, does this serve somebody's interest? And I believe the answer is probably yeah. I mean, look how divisive everybody is over this issue. Like, it's bizarre, right? Like, why am I looking at videos of Marco Rubio and like heads of state, Donald Trump putting out tweets, Bibi Netanyahu putting out tweets? Like, why are heads of state and cabinet members of various countries having entire press conferences about a conservative influencer? Like, I know people keep saying like assassinate, right? I guess by the technical definition of the word assassinate, like technically speaking, he was assassinated. But when you use the word assassinate in the way that it's being used, it just implies that this guy was like more than a professional xenophobic talking in front of a camera for a living to sow division guy. Like, that was, that's what he was. Like, when I think about like Martin Luther King was assassinated for his beliefs, right? RFK Jr. was assassinated for his beliefs. Malcolm X was assassinated for his beliefs. Fred Hampton was assassinated for his beliefs. I don't believe Charlie Kirk was killed for his beliefs. Nor do I believe that he's like some, because some of it, yeah, they're his beliefs. But like, we all know, like, really, he was paid to say the majority of stuff that he said. This is an RFK, MLK, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton situation. This isn't a Huey P. Newman situation. This is a Arafat situation. This isn't none of that. This isn't Hugo Chavez. This isn't none of that. This is a guy who got really popular by dehumanizing other individuals to protect the status quo, and got rich doing so. Like that. So I feel like just using the word assassination just is too much. You can say he got killed, he got murdered. He definitely got murdered. That's true. But like, I mean, now if you want to say like, if the FBI or the Mossad was involved, then yeah, I guess you could call that like maybe. Well, I would say they murdered him. I wouldn't say they assassinated him. As Dr. Morandi, if he remembers, the first generation Cadillac Seville in Iran, it continued to be produced in Iran after the revolution. That's a very interesting fact. It was one of the few decent American cars from the late 70s. Oh man, yeah. Oh, I know what a Seville is, but that Cadillac Seville. I know people who still talk about my grandpa used to talk about the Seville all the time. Like, cause my grandmother had a Cadillac. Oh no, she had a Cadillac and a Buick. But whenever they got rid of the Cadillac and got the Buick, all he was talking about still was a Cadillac and how it wasn't the Seville. So yeah, I do want to change gears real quick. Oh man, hold on. No, I gotta share one more thing. No, I gotta share one more clip. There's one more. Let's see if I can find it. Y'all make sure I like this video. Make sure I share the video. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, man. Like, so when I say once again, you gotta think about. You just gotta put in context the people that you're asking to pretend like this man isn't who he is. Once again, because when I see clips like this, I'm like, yo. I don't want to hear about, oh man, what he meant to the movement. If this is what he meant, like what does that say about your movement? If this guy is like, you're like, this is not about the bad thing, it's what he meant to us. If this guy meant this much to y'all, there's a problem with your movement.
The Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon. This topic would have been even more forbidden 4 or 5 years ago, but it's now becoming in more and more mainstream circles. Is that because the problem is becoming worse, but our side is more courageous to confront it? Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? Once a week, we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. The present reality, not the ideal, the reality of the Civil Rights Act and how it's being used is making it harder for us to pursue excellence as a society. Here's a fact. Since the Civil Rights Act passed, I think that it's fair to say any sort of racist sentiments that are in America have gone, at least individually amongst white people, towards black people have gone away. What I'm trying to...
This man said, yes, y'all, he said the Civil Rights Act eliminated racism. Like, why, like, ironically, why this motherfucker just out here just spewing the most racist shit? He's like, yeah, but in every other case, it's the Civil Rights Act basically eliminated racism.
Counter is the reason we talk about race so much is because we have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time.
You mean Martin Luther King, the guy who was like trying to make sure that we could use the same bathroom? That we could drink from the same water fountain? And that guy, he's like, the problem with race is that we got a federal holiday dedicated to a guy who literally died because he wanted to end segregation. This dude, come on. Think about, now, here's the irony of this. Charlie Kirk complained, past tense, about race baiters. And I swear to God, there is nobody that I could think of in the last 10 years outside of Candace Owens, because that was her job for some time, principally while working for TPUSA, ironically, while working for that guy. Other than that, there is nobody that I know that literally race baited more than Charlie Kirk. There's nobody that talked about race more. And there's a lot of people out there that talk about race all the time. Bro, this man was like obsessed with race. Like, bro, whenever I'm trying to just disconnect from the conversation of race, which is difficult to do when you're always, like, it's always part of my life, part of my day-to-day life. But sometimes, like, when I'm trying to focus in on one issue, and like, if you actually over process and overthink just how much race comes into play, like, because what happens is you start doing research, you start doing the numbers, and you start doing the math, and it's like it becomes overwhelming. So for your own sanity, you try to take yourself out of it, and then you open up your fucking X account and look at where there's Charlie Kirk again talking about fucking race. Yeah, I know, like, Israel just assassinated the prime minister of Yemen, But hey, man, did you see that black guy allegedly killed somebody? I know that Israel is genociding the entirety of the Palestinian people, like literally annexing the West Bank while genociding Gaza. Yeah, but like, what about black on black crime? What? You know what makes me think, like, real talk, I feel like somebody, like, back in the day, like, maybe somebody took his girl. That's usually what, because that's usually what happens. That's usually what that I'm not even joking. Like, this is a real thing. I remember the first overtly racist encounter that I had. It was by this guy named Cody Bassett. And it's funny because we were friends. We were friends in middle school in 6th grade. We got held back together in 7th grade, actually. I got held back in 7th grade for various reasons. And we were even still friends then. And in 8th grade came, the girl that he liked me, right? And we were like tight. Me and the dude were tight. The girl that he liked me. So then he like goes to her house and like takes the phone off away from her while she's talking to me. I was on the cord at that point because the cordless was charging because we had been talking all day. And this man called me a cotton picker. I'm like, yo, we just went from like being best friends for like 3 years. Even with it, like when I got held back, it was a big deal. Like, because I was going through stuff in my personal life, my family. And that was part of the reason why he got held back. He wasn't dumb. He just was kind of like a victim of his circumstances and didn't have the motivation. And all that thrown out the window, because he started hanging out with over time he started hanging out with other people, things like that, less and less black people because of where he moved to. And then, he was still going to the same school. And then like, all of a sudden I was a cotton picker because his girlfriend not even his girlfriend, a girl that he liked. And I didn't even know we were competing. And because we weren't competing. We weren't. He thought we were, but we weren't. But yeah, I was a cotton picker immediately. So it makes me wonder, like, did Charlie Kirk get his girl took? I get it, man. I lived in Miami. I don't watch the girl slip through my face. Like, damn, man, I wish I spoke Spanish like a Dominican. Maybe that wouldn't have happened. I had a girl literally tell me that one time. Back in my single days, I was like, this girl said, "Are you Dominican?" I was like, nah. She asked me in Spanish. I was like, nah, I'm not. She's like, but you look Dominican. Are you sure you're not Dominican? She's like, damn, I can't bring you home if you're not Dominican. She straight up told me that, yo. Like, straight up was like, yeah, I can't bring you home because of her family. I was like, damn, bro. She was bad. Oh, Lord, she was bad. And I was like, damn Dominicans, strike again. Where's Don Omar when you need him? But I listen to Romeo Santos. I can bachata. Is that good enough? That's why she thought I was Dominican, because I can bachata. I was singing all the songs. Yeah. But no, it makes you wonder though, right? It does make you wonder.